Hey, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Travel Tips Tuesday. Once again, I'm very happy to be able to join you tonight, and we're actually celebrating a little bit because recently, just between last week and this week's show, we hit 1,000 plays on podcasts, and that's across all platforms. Mostly folks that tune in on podcasts listen on Apple Podcasts, but regardless of which platform you tune in on, thank you so much for joining in every week with you listen and provide feedback. I love being able to hear from people. So you're going to see some things in the comments, some questions I'm going to have for you that I'm going to kind of go step by step on, and I would love to hear from you about them, even if you're jumping on a little bit after we start. Please comment. I would love to know what your favorite show is, your favorite thing about Disney Plus is so far. That's what we're going to start off in. So go ahead and comment on that. If you're jumping on, say hey. If you're here, let me know that you're watching. The more folks that comment and like it and share it and that kind of thing, the more people will tune in. So that's how the Facebook algorithms work. So anyway, so tonight it is November the 12th, 2019, and tonight's topic is Disney Plus and don't go into debt to go to Walt Disney World. And these two things are not related. Okay, today just happened to be the day that Disney Plus, which is Disney's new streaming service, was released. You may be saying, well, Netflix still has some, Marvel shows and some Disney things going on. Well, yes, that's true. There are some agreements that Disney still has with, streaming services like Netflix, and those, contracts, those agreements, will be likely expiring in the coming months, and Disney will be adding those programs to their Disney Plus streaming service, which covers things like, Star Wars, Pixar, classic Disney films, even going all the way back to Steamboat Willie. I asked earlier today what people were watching, and many people commented Steamboat Willie, the first appearance of Mickey Mouse in animated form. Classic cartoon. You need to go and watch it. It's awesome. So some more bits about Disney Plus. You're going to see some things about National Geographic there. You may not have known that National Geographic was owned by Disney. A lot of people know that Marvel and Star Wars and even all the ESPN, sports channels and stuff are owned by Disney. ESPN is not part of Disney Plus, though you can get a special package together with Hulu and Disney Plus and ESPN through Hulu, I believe. That's available. So Disney had a lot of great deals open up that a lot of people jumped on, even up to where you could buy Disney Plus at a very discounted rate if you paid it all up front for, I think, 3 years, which is what we did. And so we're very excited to have this for a little while. Our kids don't even know we have Disney Plus yet, but we're excited about it. And I've started to dive into The Mandalorian a little bit, which is the original Star Wars series that's going to appear exclusively on Disney Plus, and I can tell you right now, it is very well done. It is an original series that has Jon Favreau, who's well known, within kind of the Star Wars universe, but also with the Avengers, some of the Avengers films, and kind of Iron Man, and many others that are out there too. So, very excited about Disney Plus. But to kind of circle back around to celebrating 1,000 plays via podcast, I'm going to have a special giveaway. I'm going to be down at Walt Disney World next week, and I'm going to pick up something to give away to one of you that are listening tonight, and also the next show that I do, which is going to come out on podcast only. So I'm not doing a live show next week. It's only going to be available on podcast. So the podcast link to the show is not in the notes now, but I am going to comment later when we're done where you can go to find that. It's going to be a little bit shorter version, but again, I'm going to explain all this for you. So the way to enter to win is by leaving me a review on Apple Podcast. Not everybody has access to Apple Podcast, and that's fine. But about 85% of the people that listen on podcast are tuning in on that platform. So you can leave a review there, or on my business page, which is at TravelMationJohnR on Facebook, or facebook.com/TravelMationJohnR. You can look for it there. That way, you're going to receive a special surprise that is coming. Will be coming directly to you from the Walt Disney World Resort next week. When I'm there, I'm going to grab it for you. And to provide me that, just message me your screenshot of your review on Facebook, or you can email that to me at johnrogers@travelnation.net. And again, I'll put some more information there here in just a little bit. So a few more thoughts about Disney Plus. There's no more Vault, right? Well, there still kind of is, because, well, Disney has, very careful control over all their, original intellectual properties, or IPs that some people call them, and even some of the ones that they've acquired, like Pixar and Star Wars and Marvel and even Muppets that they've acquired over the years. So they're very, very particular about how those things are used, not just the shows or the movies themselves, but also, the images, like the image of these guys, of Mickey and of Oswald, that are right behind me on the wall here. So there are a lot of different things that you can buy out there that are not officially licensed, but the officially licensed stuff is very, very heavily guided, and even the unlicensed things that you might see out there for purchase on sites like Etsy, Disney actually had a huge crackdown on there. So they kind of an ongoing thing that they're very careful about, because they love their product. They want to make sure that it is consistent wherever you encounter it, and that people will continue to love it and adore it for many years to come. So, again, Disney's super careful. They've been very intentional about the launch of Disney Plus. There were some issues earlier on today, and I think that is in large part due to, well, it's a new system. Disney has not had a paid streaming system like a Hulu or like a Netflix or like an Amazon Prime Video before. Yes, they've had this little app called Disney Now that has been available on, I know for sure Android TVs and, Roku's as well. But this is very, very different from that. Very, very different. A little bit, further reaching. You can download shows on the go if you want. The closed captioning works a little bit more more smoothly. A lot of the shows are available in multiple, languages. It is, again, on multiple smartphone platforms, streaming to other streaming devices like Android TVs and Apple TVs and Roku's, and they even came to an agreement with, I believe, Amazon recently to use their Fire streaming sticks. So lots of different ways that you can get it. If you want more information, just go to disneyplus.com. It'll give you a rundown of the pricing, the subscription, and all those kind of things. But you can encounter old shows and movies, along with new, very well done originals like The Mandalorian that I mentioned. But again, I want to know what you think. If you have watched something so far, if you've had a chance to play around with the app, or even streamed it online, because you can do it online from a computer browser, which I did briefly today. If you've done that, I want to know what your experience is. Please chime in and let me know. My wife earlier said, and I think this is a hidden gem. If you're looking for a hidden gem in Disney Plus, and for me, this just shows the thoroughness of it. Yeah, sure, you're going to have classics like Steamboat Willie. You expect that to be there. That's like the foundation of who Mickey Mouse is, right? But there are also some other cult classics that are hidden in the library that you may want to go searching for, like Cool Runnings. So one of our favorite movies. We've not watched it yet, but we will. So yes, Cool Runnings, if you're a fan of that movie, it is a Disney classic. If you didn't know it was a Disney film, it is. Go ahead and check that out. Download it, stream it, watch it on the go, what have you. So the next few things that we're going to be talking about tonight, this is kind of ending the Disney Plus portion of the show tonight. But again, if you have anything else about Disney Plus that you want to comment on or bring up, please let me know. Feel free to do that anytime, and I'll try to follow up with it on here in a little bit. But the primary focus of tonight is not going into debt to go to Walt Disney World. One of the number one issues, and we've covered this kind of here and there before, but I'm going to bring together lots of things that I've said in different episodes and shows over the past 2 years or so that we've done this, to kind of talk about and give you some suggestions and hopefully some things to think about. Whether you're a seasoned park veteran, or maybe a former cast member like myself, or life has gone on and you've got married and you've had kids and you haven't been there in a while, or you're looking to do something really special, whatever the case is. There is a healthy way, a good way to travel to Walt Disney World without going into debt. So I hope that you will glean something from this, that you will learn something. I'm going to give you some different options. I'm not going to say this is the only way, because everybody has a different picture of what a budget is. Everybody has a different why for they're going. Everybody has a different reason or different likes and dislikes about their vacation needs and things that they want to do. So I'm not a believer of the one size fits all vacation package. That's why, as a travel agent, my number one goal off the bat, just like I've done recently over the past few days when I had somebody call me that I've never met that just found me on a Google search. I want to get to know them. I'm not going to just start throwing stuff at them off the cuff, but I want to have an intentional phone conversation to find out why they're going, what they want to do, if they have any specific food allergies or mobility issues we need to be aware of, if there is a budget concern, if there's a specific destination that we want to go to, if they're celebrating something, because that could help guide the conversation and the destination. So lots of different things. But getting into the specific topic tonight, we're going to break it down three specific areas. The first one is this. Booking your typical package. How to do that when traveling on a budget. So booking your typical Walt Disney World vacation package. The first piece of advice that I give people is book as early as possible. Book as early as possible. Ticket prices, hotel rates at Disney are not getting any cheaper. If you knew that or not, they're not getting any cheaper. In fact, a couple of times over the past year, we'll say 12-month period, Disney has raised rates at least twice that I remember in memory. So, that's one of the reasons to book early, because by booking early, you're securing the current rates for your travel, even if it's a year or a year and a half from now, because you want to get that best deal and say, well, what if a promotion comes out? I want to wait and see if there's free dining. I want to wait and see if prices drop. As a travel agent, I can go in there and save you the time, so you don't have to go and make the phone call and spend. It's not uncommon to spend a couple hours on hold with Disney when a promotion comes out, because when promotions come out like free dining or select special hotel rates and stuff like that, they have limited availability. So the travel agents out there, the guests that have reservations, booked there, are making those phone calls, almost immediately the day of, to make sure that their clients or themselves, if they're their own booking person, get those best rates. So book early. It will save you money in the long run, and there's some other advantages to booking early as well that we'll get into here in just a little bit. A couple other things that you can do when booking a typical vacation package is there's lots of different add-ons, like Memory Maker. Memory Maker is a great photo package add-on that is currently $169 if purchased in advance, 3 days, or I think up to 3 days before your trip starts. And that $169 covers your entire trip, be it 1 day, 7 days, 10 days. And everybody that is linked basically to your trip or on your reservation has access to those pictures. You'll be able to see them and download them. They're pictures. They're also cool little kind of animated, not quite like movies, but they kind of sprinkle in some Disney magic along the way, and it's a really cool thing. But it's $169 that you don't have to worry about spending. If you want to save that, you certainly can, because a lot of smartphones today are more than capable of taking some pretty great pictures and even video. So one thing to think about. The next thing is this. I'm a huge proponent of dining plans. I love them. I think dining plans provide a lot of flexibility. They allow you to become more, immersed in the Disney culture, where you don't have to worry about pulling out your wallet or worrying about your budget as much when you're there, because everything's already been taken care of. But dining plans sometimes, depending on the plan and what your eating expenses may be, they may be a little bit more than you want to spend. And you can bring your own food into the parks. A lot of people don't know that. There are many theme parks out there that will ban you from bringing food into the parks. Now, there are some rules you need to be aware of. You can't bring loose ice in like an ice chest or a bag or something like that. Disney has implemented some new rules that you want to be aware of. So you can't do that. But those little like cooling packs and stuff like that, those are okay. You can also even get a cup of ice or from some of the quick service restaurants to put it in there once you're in the parks. So there's a lot of different ways and sort of hacks that you can use to make that work if that's something you want to do. When my wife and I were cast members, and even in our first few trips to the parks after we were married, before we had kids. One of our favorite things to bring were these Smucker's Uncrustable sandwiches. We would throw those in a cooling bag or freeze them and put them in our backpack. And Central Florida's warm. So midway through the day when it was time for lunch or a snack, those things were still a little bit cool, but they were defrosted, and they made for a great little kind of on-the-go quick lunch. So lots of things that you can do to have a great time, but also great time eating and dining, but also save. And you can still book advanced reservations without a dining plan package. Now, either a credit card guarantee or full payment for some reservations may be required, but if you don't have the dining plan, but still you might be saving money at the end of the day. There are different types of park tickets, as you may be aware. There are single-day park tickets. There are Park Hopper park tickets. There are Park Hopper Plus tickets. So the single-day tickets get you admission to one of the 4 main Walt Disney World theme parks per day of your ticket. The Park Hopper tickets allow you entrance to any of those 4 parks as many times as you want per day of your ticket. And the Park Hopper Plus tickets basically give you the Park Hopper version, so admission to the 4 main parks, but also access to the 2 Disney water parks as well per day of your ticket. So some different options there. And depending on when you want to go, those ticket prices may vary a little bit. So they are going to be more expensive. If you want to go Christmas week, between Christmas and New Year's is the busiest time of the year for Walt Disney World. Anytime anybody wants to book a package there, I'm more than happy to help them. It actually excites me a little bit because I love Christmas at Disney. If you've watched this or know me in the slightest, you know that. But I almost wore my Mickey Santa hat tonight. I know where it is. Some of our Christmas decorations are already out. Anyway, so it excites me when people want to book those trips, but it takes some intentional time. It takes some intentional planning, and you don't want to necessarily go on a trip that you're going to regret, however fun or grand it may be. You want to make sure that you plan something that you're going to be able to enjoy and cherish and remember when you get back, and it not be clouded by debt or that credit card bill, stinging you in the side when you get home. I mean, I'm not talking about taking out a HELOC to be able to go on, a vacation or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you need to do these things smart, and again, we're going to get into some practical tips here in just a little bit. By the way, some people, I love the on-property Disney perks, okay? That's one of the number one things that I love about staying at the resort. They're great. The on-property transportation, the kindness and kind of concierge level quality of mostly every Disney cast member that you will encounter is amazing. I mean, Disney sets the standard for how a lot of businesses handle customer service. Now, they can't hand you to the world, right? If something goes wrong or doesn't go as magically as planned, they can't, just wave a literal magic wand and make things back the way they should be. But they do seek to take care of you and respect your time and respect your money, respect your commitment, respect the why of your trip as much as possible. So I do want to tell you that one of the kind of hidden secrets of Walt Disney World are the campgrounds. If you love camping, whether it's RV camping down to just, I've got a 2-person, camping tent that I like to take to my local state park and hang out, that's a great way to go to Disney. They have a lot of great facilities that are there for folks to shower, bathhouses, stuff like that, restrooms that, when you go into it, it feels like you're in, like a bathroom in one of the hotels. It doesn't seem like it's out in the middle of the woods on Walt Disney World property. They have a lot of really cool things that they do at the Fort Wilderness campgrounds and kind of in that general resort area. So if you're considering going, you want to go on a budget, you want to stay a little bit cheaper, maybe you want to stay longer and not have to pay as much, because some people are like, well, do I go and stay in a nicer resort, one of the deluxe resorts, and maybe only stay 3 days, or do I go to one of the value resorts or moderate and stay 5 or 7 days? So those are some things to think about and consider. The campgrounds are a great option, especially if you love the outdoors. So if you have questions about that and how that works, please let me know. Again, they do have space for tents. They have space for pop-up trailers. They have space for full-size RVs, and that does vary on availability based on time of year as well as the cost, but typically the cost of those are a lot less than booking a typical resort hotel room, be it a value, moderate, or deluxe for that matter. So the next category, we just talked about booking your typical vacation packages at Walt Disney World. The next one we're going to look at is limited days on Disney property. So if you have limited days on Disney property, and for me, what this means is when you have, basically less than 4 days, so 1 to 3 days to come on to Disney, or even if it's just a half day, because in my mind, you need at least a full day to spend in each of the parks because they all have a lot to offer. So many people want to go in, they want to do the rides, they want to bypass everything else and get on out. There are a lot of hidden things to see at each of the parks. And if you tuned in when I did the kind of walk around the different lands at the Magic Kingdom that I did over the past couple of months, you'll see that. There's a lot of, you'll hear that and read that. There's a lot of different things that you can do that are not like the front, headline advertised things. So a lot of different shows, different games and other activities to do in the parks. So I encourage you to take your time, take at least a full day at each of the parks if you can. If you're worried about a park being a half day for your family, I don't believe in half day parks personally. But again, it's all up to you and what your family is capable of, the reason why you're there, and what you want to do. So again, plan well, but be flexible. That's why I love the flexibility of the park hopper tickets. You're not locked into just going to one park for one particular day. But if you are going, if you're saying, I'm going to be in Central Florida or in Orlando for a conference, or I really want to go with my family, but I don't know how to, I don't know how to make it work because Disney is so expensive. Consider only going for a day or two. There's a lot to do at Magic Kingdom. There's a lot to do at Disney's Hollywood Studios and at Epcot and at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So many things to do at those parks. Each park offers their own special flavor of entertainment, their own special appeal to guests of all ages. So that's one thing that I can do to help you is to weigh those options. Well, is this part better for me or is this part? Or maybe it's just a couple or maybe it's a couple that you're looking at. So I'll help you figure out, what is the best one for you. And that's when, time and planning and research is on your side. Some of the other things that you can actually do, maybe you want to come and you want to stay on Disney for a few days, but you don't want to spend the money for park tickets, but maybe you want to get out into the Orlando area and explore a little bit. Go check out Disney Springs. Go check out the outlet malls. Go check out the Crayola experience, especially if you have little kids. It's a really cool thing. Go to some of the other Orlando area resorts and see what they have to offer. City Walk over at the Universal Orlando Resort, or maybe one of the theme parks that they have there. Or maybe pop over to SeaWorld, which is in kind of the same general area. If you have some time on your hands, drive over to Tampa, which is not that far from Disney, a little bit between an hour and a half, depending on where you are on Disney property and what traffic is like. Spend some time at your hotel or the pool, just hanging out and relaxing. I mean, that's why people go on these vacations a lot of times anyway. Go see the non-theme park sides of Disney, and you're probably, well, what is that? Well, I've already mentioned some of it, like some of the things to do around the hotels, as well as at Disney Springs. There's a lot to do at Disney Springs. Just take your time. Go for a walk through some of the shops, even go through some that you're not going to spend any money in. Leave your wallet locked up in the safe in the hotel room if you're really worried about it. But there's a lot of really cool things to do. Go on some of the boat rides. I mean, there are some river boats that will take you from Disney Springs down that I've talked about before back in May when we went on our trip. That will take you from Disney Springs to some of the resorts. So it's something really cool that you could do. They have some walking paths in the area as well. So a bunch of really, really neat things to do. And you don't even have to have a theme park ticket or hotel stay on Disney property to do that. So that's kind of wrapping up the sort of limited days. There's a lot of different options. Some of the ones I don't think I talked about visiting the beach. There are a couple of great beaches that are close by within, I would say, an hour to an hour and a half drive. There's Daytona Beach, which is a little bit further out, but it's well known for the racetrack. There's also Cocoa Beach, which is right next to Port Canaveral or Cape Canaveral, which is where Disney Cruise Line's main port is. So if you're doing a Disney cruise vacation coupled with a Walt Disney World trip, plan on some time to spend, out by the port after you get back, and spend some time hanging out at the beach, and go visit the Kennedy, the Space Center that's out there, the Kennedy Space Center. So it's a great place to see and to experience. We're up in here in the Rocket City of North Alabama, where the Saturn V rocket was kind of developed and built. Technically in Madison, but Huntsville surrounds us on four sides, and I want to go see Kennedy Space Center sometime, and it seems like a really cool thing. So I hope that's been helpful for you. There's a lot of stuff to do. When people think Orlando, they think Disney, Universal. Check those things off. Well, there's a lot of really cool things to do in the area, even beyond what I've listed. And for time, we're going to kind of go on here. To kind of shift the conversation towards the more specifically practical part of it. Budgeting, doing these things smart. Play it smart. Again, don't go into debt. Plan as far in advance as possible, but be flexible. Okay? If you have a side hustle, great. Let that be some of the motivation for you, for that extra time you're taking away from your family, from your, regular everyday life. Let this be a motivation. Work towards something. Have a reward at the end of the tunnel, something that's motivating you. Know that why. Understand that why in the back of your mind, where you're not just working all the time, but maybe you're working towards something. Maybe a great Disney trip could be it. Make it something, again, make it something to work towards. Here's another idea. We're coming into the holiday season. Okay? Use your holiday gift budget. So the entire budget, whether it's for you, your spouse, your kids, just yourself, whatever the case is, use your entire budget, however small or large that may be, for a travel experience. Maybe that could be Walt Disney World. It doesn't have to be over the holidays. It could be later on in the year. Also think about driving versus flying. A lot of people love the convenience of flying because you don't have to worry about your car. You're not paying parking fees. You can just hop on the Magical Express or take a minivan, mini MINNIE van from Orlando International Airport to your Disney Resort Hotel. There are some discount airfare options that are out there. I try to educate my clients as much as possible so they know their options and they are able to understand them as clearly. And I'm there to answer questions and be honest and as impartial as I can be. If people want to know what's your recommendation, what's your favorite airline out there, I will tell them. For me, it's Delta Airlines. I've traveled Delta more in my life than any other airline and always had a great experience. I am one of the oddballs out there that I actually love Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. I used to live there. And have been through that airport many times and seen it in various iterations throughout the years. So, if you have questions about navigating Atlanta Airport, reach out to me. I can tell you where the Chick-fil-A's are and where the varsities are at the Atlanta Airport. So, another thing is that I want to bring up in relation to flying versus driving. Is because some people will drive, even if they're in New England or cross country, and make an entire experience out of the journey to get there. This is a couple of week typically experience for people because they don't want to spend just a couple of days and have to turn around and drive 2 straight days back home. Driving there it takes a lot of energy out of you. All right, it's physically taxing. You do have fuel costs. It's hard on your vehicle and things of that nature. But for some people, again, it is worth the journey. It does take more time. And for people that are saving up vacation time, time is very, very valuable. So that is one thing to consider as well. There's the time and money argument is kind of one of the biggest pieces when planning a vacation that you want to be sensitive to. When you get down there, when you're actually in Walt Disney World, one of the things that you pay for if you're staying at a deluxe resort is the proximity to the parks. Many of the deluxe resorts are within walking distance of many of the parks that are there. Some of them are on the monorail loops, like Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, the Contemporary Resort, and Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, right there on the monorail loop in front of Magic Kingdom, that you can easily transition monorails and hop over to Epcot if you wanted to. There are a lot of other resorts that are close by, that are close in the area as well. So that's one of the things that you pay for. When you're paying for a deluxe resort experience, you're paying for convenience. You're paying for time. That's one of the reasons why Disney has the minivans available now. It's another mode of transportation that gives you an extra experience to get from one point of property to another quickly without having to worry about getting on a bus or a monorail or driving your own car. It saves you time. So that's one thing you have to understand when you go into the budgeting process is weighing your time versus your budget and how that kind of all works together. Another very basic thing that you could do to play it smart is bring your own food into the parks. I mentioned this earlier when I talked about bringing those peanut butter and jelly Uncrustables. There are some really basic things you can do, and Disney will allow you to bring your own food into the parks. Not all theme parks do that, so that's one thing to consider. I love bringing trail mix as one of my favorite snacks because it's light, doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's protein, so it's a little bit more filling than say just like chips or something like that. That will get easily crunched, or maybe pretzels, something like that, are good. One of the other big things that I think some people don't think about, you can very easily get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of merchandise that is out there, that is everywhere across Disney. Set a budget for yourself. When you go to the parks, don't take your credit cards or your debit card. Take your ID. There's always a chance you might do that, but leave your credit cards and your debit cards in your room. Buy a Disney gift card either when you get there or before you're there. You can buy them at discounts at a lot of wholesalers like Sam's Club, Costco. I think maybe even BJ's Warehouse might have some. You can get them at Target, I believe, if you have a red card with a 5% discount. So lots of different ways to get them. Yes, my friend Josh Pies, who's in the Orlando area, says it's everywhere, and it is absolutely everywhere for sure. But set yourself a budget. Just bring the gift card in with you. And another thing that you want to do if you are using gift cards to manage either your spending budget, be it dining or merchandise, is register those gift cards at DisneyGiftCard.com. Again, register those gift cards at DisneyGiftCard.com. That is where you go to actually combine gift cards. You can do that, if you have a bunch of little ones in odd increments, or a bunch of $25 gift cards that you want to use to make your final payment on your trip. You can do that at DisneyGiftCard.com and combine them into gift cards up to $1,000 in value. So one of the other cool things that you can do, like say for example, I lost my gift card. I don't know, it's gone. That's one of the things people worried about with doing this. Well, if you register this on this particular website, it will save that gift card number in there. You can go and buy, put $5 on a random gift card for a Disney gift card, and then transfer the value because it's tracked electronically, and those numbers are saved on DisneyGiftCard.com to that new one, even though you lost an old one and the old one's deactivated. So super simple hack that you can do. I had a friend that actually did this, that misplaced one of his old gift cards, but luckily had registered them online, and it all worked out at the end of the day. So gift cards can be a very easy way to manage your budget. Also, if you're traveling with children and they get really excited about paying for things, if they've saved up their allowance money to buy a stuffed Mickey Mouse or Minnie or whatever the case is, put that money on a gift card for them. They can swipe it just like you swipe your credit card or debit card. Hopefully it's not a credit card. Hopefully it's a debit card, and go for it that way. So that's one thing that's pretty cool. Focus on the why of your trip. I say this all the time. Focus on the why of your trip, but don't get too carried away. Because I know that sometimes, especially if you're doing something really special, you want to go all out. And for some people, that's what you need to do. It is. For some people, that is what you need to do when you're there. You need to go all out. You need to celebrate the why if you're there. Maybe you've just graduated from college. Maybe you're there and you've gotten married. Maybe you've just worked yourself out of debt. Maybe you're celebrating, something in memory of someone. I've even known people to go to Disney and go because they have family members that have been given a terminal diagnosis. So yeah, they're going to go all out because they want to celebrate as much as possible, and they want to do things well. They want to have a great experience. You don't have to break the bank to have a great experience, by the way. That's the whole point of this whole conversation. But there's definitely some special ways special things that you can do. Josh has also chimed in and said, buy popcorn buckets. Refills are cheap. Yep. That's one of the things that you may see a lot of Instagrammers will do when Disney releases a new popcorn bucket. That's one of the number one things that I see photographed out there are the popcorn buckets. Check them out. They're a lot of fun and they're really cool. There's some great seasonal ones that come out. Also some that are related to Toy Story Land and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that are pretty cool. So some of them are even, limited release that are out there. But yeah, popcorn buckets, they make a great souvenir too, for sure. And like you said, the refills are pretty cheap. Be flexible. Again, I say that all the time. Be flexible when you go in there, especially with the weather. or if somebody does happen to get ill while you're there, be prepared for that, but also be flexible as you go into it. Know, especially if you are the trip leader or group leader, whether it's just you by yourself or a couple and you're on a special trip, or your family or a large busload of people, you want to make sure that you have a positive attitude when you're going in there and when things don't go your way, because those people that are traveling with you are going to be looking to see how you react to adversity, and you can set the pace for how people experience their trip. So keep that in mind. It may put a lot on you, but hopefully the joy that you see other people having around you can compensate for whatever goes wrong in front of you. And as somebody that's been a trip leader in different circumstances, I totally get that, which is one of the reasons why I bring that up. And the very last thing, again, saving it up and playing it smart, is know your context. Know your context and know what you want, but also be realistic in regards to your expectations and your budget. Be realistic in regards to your expectations and for what you want to do on your trip, but also your budget as well. Because yes, unfortunately, Disney costs money. Disney costs money. But it's all about, and Josh said this a second ago, memories are the number one thing. They're the number one reason why people go there, because for many people, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Luckily, my family's blessed. We live in part of the country where we are within kind of what we would call the edge of sort of driving distance for any sane person. But we used to drive to Disney a lot more frequently than we do now. But it's all about creating memories. Travelmation's kind of missional statement for the year is leaving this world with memories, not dreams. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can make those memories. It doesn't have to be at Disney. I mean, that's what it's all about for Disney. They want, Walt Disney World, the people at Walt Disney World, the cast members there want your experience there to be a realized version of something that you've been dreaming about for your entire life in some cases. And it can be that. It really can. But again, plan well, be flexible, be smart, and budget well. You do not have to drive yourself into debt to go to Walt Disney World. It'd be kind of hard not to if you were going to pick up and go tomorrow without any planning or budgeting. But again, that's why I say plan as far back in advance as possible. You can travel well on a budget with a typical package. If you plan well in advance. There are a ton of awesome things to do in Central Florida instead of spending all your time at Disney. I talk all the time about Disney, but there are other things to do there that won't break the bank. Some budget-friendly things to do. And again, lastly, save up, play it smart. Don't go into debt and cause yourself or your family, a group undue stress that will cloud the memory of your experience together. So don't do something that you're going to regret in that case. I hope this conversation for you has been practical. If there's something that you've loved, something that you are like, yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, please let me know. I want to know. I want to be able to talk with you, and I want to understand where you're coming from, because I believe that we can all learn from each other. I believe there's all something we can gain, because we all have a different perspective of our experience. Okay. Based on where we are in life. I think that's one of the reasons why people are constantly going back to Walt Disney World. The first time I went was as a child. I eventually came back many years later and was a cast member for a short time. And I started booking trips and sending people there. I went to Walt Disney World on my honeymoon. So I've been there in different phases of my own life, and now I'm going, with my own herd of children that we have. So there really is something there for everybody. It's not just for kids. And regardless of who you are, where you're coming from, or why you're going, there's a way to do it smart, and there's a lot of awesome memories to be made. So if you have questions about that, please let me know. And as a reminder, if you want to enter the drawing for something that I'm going to get you at Walt Disney World next week, please do so by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or on my business Facebook page, which I will drop a link to in the comments here in just a little bit. And just screenshotting that, messaging it to me on Facebook, or sending it to me via email. So thank you again for joining me. And again, be on the lookout for next week's special podcast-only episode. And we do hope that you have a happy Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks and a great holiday season. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.